In a world shattered by chaos and darkness, one unlikely hero emerges from the shadows of a fallen village, torn between survival and rebellion. As relentless enemies threaten to wipe out everything they hold dear, secrets buried in the past threaten to unravel their fragile hope. Will courage be enough to ignite a spark of resistance? Or will despair consume them all before the fight even begins? Stay tuned, because what happens next will change everything you thought you knew about heroism, sacrifice, and the power of unity. The battle for their future has only just begun. Please wait. Before we start, tap that iCard button in the top right corner and smash that subscribe button. Please do it now. Hit the notification bell so you're first in line when new stories land. Alright, let's dive into the story. The relentless rain hammered down on the dueling grounds of Kethalar, transforming the dark gray stones into a slick, treacherous mirror that reflected the angry purple sky above. Lightning streaked across the stormy heavens, illuminating the violet-skinned spectators who gathered in tight circles, their silver hair shimmering despite the gloom. Beneath an overhang, Riker Voss watched, his broad shoulders hunched against the biting chill, feeling more out of place than he'd ever been. All he'd wanted was a quick refuel before heading out to his next contract, not to witness what looked like some kind of sacred ritual, something ancient, something fierce. In the middle of the arena, two figures moved with a grace that defied exhaustion. The female, slim and battered, parried a vicious strike from her opponent, a towering male with muscles carved from stone. Her black combat suit, strapped with silver, was torn in multiple places, blood darkening the fabric. Her silver hair whipped around her face like a banner of defiance. Despite her injuries, her eyes burned with stubborn resolve. Her opponent, Dreer Keth, was nearly twice her size, his silver hair gleaming in the storm's intermittent flashes. His eyes, sharp and cold, tracked her every move as he pressed his advantage mercilessly. Riker leaned closer, curiosity prickling at him. "Who are they?" he asked an elder nearby, raising his voice over the roar of thunder. The elder sighed, voice low and cautious. "Lithy and Baron, last daughter of a fallen house, fighting to reclaim what's left of her family's lands. The male is Dreer Keth, champion of the rising clan. He fights to claim her inheritance, her lands, her honor." He paused, voice dropping even lower. "And if she wins," the elder hesitated, "she will not. Her clan has fallen too far. This is merely a formality, a last-ditch effort." Before Riker could process that, Dreer landed a brutal blow, a strike that sent Lithy sprawling across the whetstones. Her body hit the ground hard, the silver blade slipping from her grasp and clattering beside her. Her black suit was torn, revealing deep cuts that leaked a strange, glowing indigo blood. The crowd roared in approval, some in admiration, others in cruel triumph. Riker's stomach clenched. Something about the scene felt darker than he'd expected, more sacred, more dangerous. Lithy struggled to rise, one hand clutching her clan sword, a magnificent blade engraved with luminous symbols that seemed to pulse in the gloom. Her slender frame trembled from pain, but her eyes, bright, fierce, remained fixed on her opponent. She pushed herself up, blood dripping from her wounds, and spat onto the wet stones. "Yield," Dreer boomed, voice echoing across the arena. "Daughter of nothing, your father's blade deserves a stronger hand." Her lips curled into a bitter smile, lips trembling but voice unyielding. "I will die before I yield my family's honor," she spat, blood bubbling at her lips. Her defiance struck Riker unexpectedly, something raw and unbreakable in her words, a spark he'd seen too many times in underdog stories. A story he knew well. His instincts, whether from years of mercenary work or simple human empathy, pushed him forward without conscious thought. He pushed through the swirling crowd, eyes locked on the desperate figure on the ground. Dreer, sensing trouble, raised his blade for a killing blow. No, stop. Lythe's voice cracked with urgency, but Riker was already moving. In a blur, he snatched the fallen sword beside her, an ancient relic, warm in his hand, and charged into the fray. The impact of the crash was deafening, metal grinding against metal, shock jarring through his arm. His muscles burned from the effort, but he held firm, the weight of the moment pressing down on him. The crowd gasped in shock, some shouting in outrage. Drier's eyes widened with fury. "You're interfering," he snarled, voice venomous. Riker's grip on the sword tightened. "It's not your fight," he said through clenched teeth. "And I won't stand by and watch her die for your pride." The elder at the edge of the arena, an imposing violet figure with elaborate silver markings, finally spoke. His voice was deep, resonant. "The blade has been claimed," he announced, voice like the toll of a bell. "By law, whoever wields the clan's sword in defense of its bearer becomes bound in the sacred bond of marriage." The words hung in the air, thick with ancient power. Riker blinked, stunned. "What?" he managed, voice uncertain. Lythe stared at him with wide, violet eyes, confusion, surprise, and something deeper flickering within. The elder continued, voice steady, unwavering. "You have claimed the right to be her husband." The crowd fell silent, waiting for Riker's response. His heart pounded. He looked down at her, at the battered girl who had fought with everything she had, and felt a strange mixture of guilt and responsibility settle over him. "I was just trying to help," he finally managed, voice rough with emotion. "I didn't mean for any of this." Lythe, battered and bleeding, looked at him with an unreadable expression. "You've just bound yourself to a dying clan," she said softly, "and to me." Her words echoed in his mind, heavy and unyielding. He felt the weight of the moment settle around his shoulders as the storm raged on, unknowing that this impulsive act would change everything, whether he was ready or not. The cool dawn light seeped through the narrow cracks of the mountain fortress, casting long, jagged shadows across the stone corridors where Riker followed Lythe. Her steps were steady despite her injuries. Her silver hair, matted with rain and blood, glistened in the soft glow. The air was thick with unspoken tension, every echo of their footsteps amplifying the weight of what had transpired. Riker kept glancing at her, a mix of guilt and curiosity swirling inside him. So, he finally broke the silence, voice muffled but earnest. "What exactly do I need to do now? I mean, I just grabbed that sword to stop him. Didn't think it'd turn into, well, this." Lythe shot him a sharp, assessing look. "You don't understand yet, do you?" she said, voice calm but edged with a quiet strength. "That blade chose you. It's not just a weapon. When it's wielded in defense of our bloodline, it binds us. It's an ancient law, older than most of your kind even know. You've made a vow, whether you realize it or not. You're now part of this, whether you like it or not." Riker scoffed softly. "A vow? Come on. I was just trying to help." "Helping," she interrupted sharply, "is what you did. But now, it's about understanding what you've stepped into. This isn't a simple fight or a quick fix. It's a legacy, a blood oath that ties you to us, our history, our future. And if Drier or anyone else thinks they can just dismiss that, they're in for a rude awakening." They reached a large, imposing door carved with intricate silver runes, symbols that shifted and shimmered as Lythe pressed her palm against a glowing crest. The door swung open with a groan, revealing a chamber filled with elders and advisors, figures cloaked in flowing robes, their expressions grave. Riker hesitated, feeling the weight of countless generations presses down on him. Lythe stepped forward confidently. "It's time to face the elders," she said softly. "They will decide what your bond means here." Inside, the atmosphere was tense. The Elder Council sat in a circle, their black eyes studying Riker with a mixture of suspicion and curiosity. The High Elder, a regal violet woman with streaks of silver in her hair, leaned forward. Her voice was steady, commanding. You are human, she said, sharp and deliberate. You stand before us having claimed a bloodline not your own, and yet the law recognizes your act as binding. Tell us, do you understand what this entails? Riker swallowed hard, feeling suddenly out of place in a world of ancient laws and fierce traditions. I saw someone about to be killed, he admitted, voice trembling just a little. I reacted. I didn't think about the consequences. I just did what felt right. The High Elder's gaze pierced him. That is noble. Yet, she paused, voice softer, you must also understand what you have committed to. To accept the bond is to accept all of what we are. Our history, our hopes, our burdens. You must be willing to stand with us, to defend our legacy, to honor the blood that runs through our veins. Lydie stepped closer, her violet eyes shining with quiet pride. He may not know our ways fully now, she said softly, but he proved his strength yesterday. That's what matters. The blade chose him, and now he's part of us, whether we like it or not. Suddenly, Dreer Keth stormed into the chamber, his face twisted with rage. The powerful warrior's voice boomed through the room. The duel was not over. The human interfered. He has no right to claim her or the blade. The elders looked at each other, some nodding slowly, others frowning. The High Elder lifted her hand, silencing Dreer with a commanding gesture. The duel is concluded, she declared, her voice unwavering. The blade has spoken, and the bond is formed. This is the law. That bond now binds him to Lydie and to the legacy of our clan. Dreer's face darkened further. He doesn't understand what he's gotten himself into, he spat. He's an outsider. He can't possibly fulfill our traditions. Lydie stepped forward, her voice calm but resolute. He has one cycle of moons to prove himself, she said quietly. And if he's worthy, perhaps he can be more than an outsider. Perhaps he can be one of us, if he's willing to stay and learn. Her gaze locked onto Riker's, pleading silently for understanding. You're in this now, she added softly, whether you like it or not. The room fell into a heavy silence. The fate of two worlds intertwined in the fragile thread of a blood oath that had just begun to take hold. The cold, sterile light of dawn filtered through the narrow window of Lydie's hidden chamber, casting faint orange hues over her battered form. She was seated on a rough cot, her violet eyes fixed on the distant horizon beyond the fortress walls. Her mind was a tumult of thoughts, confusion, anger, and a flicker of hope she couldn't quite suppress. Riker had been gone for hours now, probably trying to grasp the gravity of what had just happened, but she knew better than to wait idly. She needed answers, and she needed them now. The door creaked open softly, and Riker stepped in, rubbing the back of his neck awkwardly. His face was marked with fatigue and uncertainty, yet there was a stubborn glint in his eyes. He looked around the sparse room, and then at her, hesitating just a moment before speaking. Hey, he muttered, voice rough from exhaustion. I wanted to check on you. How are you holding up? Lydie gave him a tired but wry smile. Like I've been through a storm and back, she replied, voice hoarse but steady. You really threw yourself into something big, didn't you? Riker ran a hand through his damp hair. Yeah, I guess I did, he admitted. Look, I don't fully get all this blood oath stuff, but it's clear I'm in now. I mean, I grabbed that sword to save you, and suddenly I'm part of your clan, or whatever this is. Feels like I just signed my life away without even knowing the rules. Lydie chuckled softly, a sound that was both bitter and amused. That's the thing about our laws. They don't always make sense to outsiders. But once the blade chooses you, once it bonds with your soul, well, it's not so easy to walk away. You're tied to us now, whether you like it or not. She paused, eyes narrowing as she studied him. You said you did what felt right. That's the core of it. But now, you have to understand the weight of what you've done. It's not just about fighting or saving lives. It's about legacy, bloodlines, honor. You're in the middle of something ancient and fierce. Riker looked down, his jaw clenched. Yeah, I get that. I fought before, but this? It's different. I've never been part of something so heavy. I don't know if I can live up to all this. Lythe's expression softened just a little, though her voice remained firm. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be willing to learn, to fight, to stand with us when it counts. That's all anyone can ask. Suddenly, a loud knock echoed from the corridor outside. Without waiting for permission, the door swung open, revealing a stern-looking elder cloaked in dark robes embroidered with silver symbols. His eyes, sharp and assessing, immediately fixed on Riker. "The council wishes to speak with you," he announced, voice commanding. "It is time you understand what your bond entails." Riker exchanged a nervous glance with Lythe before following the elder into a grand chamber filled with more elders and advisors. The air was thick with anticipation. The High Elder, a regal violet woman with streaks of silver in her hair, sat at the head of the circle. Her gaze was piercing, yet her voice was calm as she addressed him. "You are human," she said slowly, "and yet you have claimed a bloodline not your own. Do you comprehend the gravity of what you have done?" Riker hesitated, then nodded. "I saw someone about to die," he said softly. "I acted. I didn't think about the consequences. I just did what I thought was right." The High Elder regarded him quietly for a moment. "That act of bravery has sealed your fate. The law recognizes the bond created by the sword's choice. It binds you to Lythe and our entire legacy. You now carry our history, our hopes, and our burdens. You must be prepared to face whatever comes." Lythe stepped closer, her voice almost a whisper. "You're in this now. Whether you understand it fully or not, you're part of us, and we will help you learn what it means to be one of us." Before they could continue, Dreer Keth burst into the chamber, his face twisted with fury. "This isn't over," he roared. "The duel was not concluded. The human interfered, and his actions are not binding." The High Elder raised her hand, silencing him. "The law is clear," she declared, voice unwavering. "The bond is formed. The blade has spoken. Riker is now bound to Lythe, and he must accept the responsibilities that come with it." Dreer's eyes flashed with rage, but he remained silent, knowing he could not defy the law. Lythe looked at Riker, her expression a mixture of determination and caution. "You've taken a step into a world you don't yet understand," she said softly. "But I believe in your strength. Together, we will face what's ahead, and maybe, just maybe, we'll forge a new future from the ashes of our past." Her words hung in the air, heavy with promise and uncertainty, as the chamber's shadows deepened and the weight of destiny settled over them all. The morning after the council's declaration was shrouded in a strange silence, almost as if the fortress itself was holding its breath. Riker sat on a rough stone bench overlooking the courtyard, the cold wind tugging at his clothes and messing up his hair. He felt the weight of everything. His actions, the blood oath, the uncertain future. His mind kept circling back to Lythe's words, her quiet conviction that they could forge something new amid centuries of tradition. But beneath that, a flicker of doubt gnawed at him. Could he really live up to all this? Could he belong in a world so ancient, so fiercely bound by blood and honor? Lythe approached quietly, her violet eyes soft but resolute. She carried a small tray with some bread and water, placing it gently beside him. "You look like you've seen too many storms," she said, voice gentle yet tinged with a hint of worry. "You need to eat. You're stronger when you're nourished." Riker looked up, offering a faint smile. "Thanks," he muttered, taking a piece of bread and nibbling on it absent-mindedly. "I guess I'm still trying to figure out what strong really means anymore. Seems like I've been thrown into a world I don't understand, and now I've got these laws and bloodlines weighing me down." Lythe sat beside him, her gaze drifting across the courtyard. "It's not about understanding everything overnight," she said softly. "It's about learning to walk in the dark and trusting that you'll find your way. You've already shown courage, more than most in your position. That counts for something here." He sighed heavily. "Yeah, but courage isn't enough. I'm just a guy who happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. Now I'm bound to your clan, to your legacy, and I don't even know if I can keep up. What if I mess everything up? Lythe's expression hardened slightly, but her voice remained steady. You're not alone, Riker. We're all forging a path forward, together. The law might say you're bound, but it's your choices that will define what kind of bond you truly have with us. Don't forget that. You're more than just a human who grabbed a sword. You're a part of something bigger now. Just then, a young scout hurried into the courtyard, his face pale and eyes wide with urgency. Lythe, Riker, there's trouble at the northern border. A raid, Dreer's men are attacking the villages. They're trying to rally support, claiming we've betrayed them. Lythe's eyes flashed with renewed determination. We need to move, she said without hesitation. If Dreer's men think they can threaten our people, they'll learn that blood and honor go hand in hand. Riker, you're with us now. This is your fight as well. Riker jumped to his feet, adrenaline surging through him. You bet I am. Whatever Dreer's planning, he's not going to get away with it. Not on my watch. Lythe shot him a quick, proud glance. Good. We'll need every ounce of strength and courage. Come, we ride to the village. We'll show them what it means to stand united, no matter the odds. As they hurried toward the stables, Riker couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. The blood oath had sealed his fate, but it also ignited a fire within him, one fueled by a desperate desire to protect, to prove himself worthy of the legacy he'd unwittingly become part of. The shadows of the approaching chaos blurred the line between right and wrong, but one thing was clear. He was no longer just an outsider. He was in this for good, and he'd fight with every fiber of his being to carve a place for himself in this ancient, dangerous world. The chaos of the raid was unlike anything Riker had ever witnessed. The sky was darkened with smoke, and the air was thick with the scent of burning wood and blood. The villagers, caught off guard, scrambled for safety, screaming and shouting as Dreer's men tore through their defenses with ruthless efficiency. Riker, mounted on his steed, felt a surge of adrenaline and fury, clutching his sword tightly. The sight of innocent people suffering ignited a blazing resolve within him. This was more than just a fight. It was a battle for their very survival. Lythe was beside him, fierce and unyielding. Hold the line, she commanded, her voice echoing over the chaos. We cannot let them break us today. Riker glanced at her, admiration burning in his eyes. You're incredible, he shouted over the din. How do you stay so calm? She smirked, a flash of steel in her eyes. Years of surviving worse, human. Now stay focused. We're about to turn the tide. Suddenly, a band of villagers, cornered and desperate, ran past them, clutching whatever weapons they could find. Old farming tools, broken spears, even a few makeshift bows. One of the villagers, a young woman with a tear-streaked, dirt-stained face, looked up at Riker. Please, help us. They're not stopping. His heart clenched. Without hesitation, he spurred his horse forward, cutting off a few of Dreer's soldiers with swift, calculated strikes. Get to safety, he shouted. We'll hold them back. Lythe rode up beside him, her sword flashing as she dispatched two attackers with fluid grace. Riker, we need to push them back, force them out of the village. If we don't, they'll just keep coming. He nodded fiercely. Then let's do it. No more running. With a rallying cry, the defenders regrouped, launching a fierce counterattack. Riker swung his sword with reckless abandon, each strike fueled by a mixture of desperation and determination. His movements grew more confident as he realized that, despite his doubts, he could hold his own. His mind was laser-focused on protecting these people, each life a testament to why he had to succeed. As the tide turned, Dreer's men began to falter, their morale slipping as the villagers fought back with a newfound courage. One of Dreer's soldiers, a hulking brute, charged at Riker, swinging a heavy axe. Riker dodged, his heartbeat pounding in his ears. You're not taking any more lives today, he growled, parrying the blow and then retaliating with a swift stab. The brute collapsed, groaning in pain. Lythi called out, "We've bought enough time. Fall back to the main defenses. We're not finished yet." Riker, breathing heavily, looked around at the chaos, then at the villagers huddled behind makeshift barricades, their faces marked with fear but also resilience. "This isn't over," he said under his breath, eyes blazing. "We'll stand and fight as long as it takes." As the last of Dreer's men retreated into the shadows, the village erupted in a mixture of cheers and sobs. The villagers ran toward their homes, tending to the wounded and comforting the frightened children. Lythi approached Riker, her expression softer now, yet still fierce with resolve. "You fought well," she said quietly. "You've proven that even a human can stand tall among us." He looked at her, exhaustion weighing him down, but also a new sense of purpose blooming inside. "I did what I had to," he replied. "This world, it's brutal, but I get it now. It's about fighting for what matters. Your home, your people, your future." Lythi nodded solemnly. "And that's only the beginning. Dror won't give up. He'll come back stronger. But now we have hope. We have each other. And I believe, together, we can turn this darkness into light." Riker's gaze swept over the battered village, the flickering flames casting long shadows. Despite the destruction, a spark of hope ignited within him, stronger than ever. He was no longer just a man caught in a war he didn't fully understand. He was part of this fight, and he was ready to face whatever came next, no matter how fierce the storm. The aftermath of the raid left a heavy silence hanging over the village, broken only by the crackling of smoldering fires and the distant, mournful cries of the wounded. Riker, now exhausted but burning with a newfound sense of purpose, stood amidst the wreckage, surveying the damage. His shoulders were tense, every muscle aching, yet inside him, a fierce determination was ignited. Lythi approached, her face streaked with soot and dirt, eyes shining with a mixture of pride and concern. "You fought like a beast," she said softly, placing a hand on his shoulder. "But this is only the beginning. Dror won't give up so easily. We need to prepare for what's coming next." Riker looked down at his trembling hands, then back at her. "I never thought I'd be in the middle of something like this," he admitted, voice rough with emotion. "All my life, I thought I was just an outsider, just some guy trying to survive. And now, I'm part of a war I barely understand. But I can't just walk away from this. These people, this world, it's become my fight too." Lythi nodded solemnly. "That's what makes you different. You're willing to stand up, even when everything's falling apart. That's rare. Dreer's army will come back stronger, and we'll need every ounce of strength and courage we have. But we're not going to let fear dictate us. We'll build defenses, rally the survivors, and prepare for the next assault." Suddenly, a young boy, no older than 10, stumbled toward them, clutching a battered piece of cloth that once was his mother's cloak. Tears streamed down his face. "My sister, she's hurt. We need help," he choked out. Riker's heart clenched painfully. Without hesitation, he knelt beside the boy. "Show me where she is," he said urgently. "We'll get her help. Stay close, and don't worry, we're gonna fix this." Lythi's eyes widened with concern. "Riker, we need to tend to everyone, but we also need to set up proper medical aid." He shook his head, determination etched into every word. "No time. We can't wait. That girl needs us now," he said firmly. The boy led them through the wrecked streets, weaving between debris and fallen beams. Inside a small, battered house, they found a girl, bloodied but conscious, clutching her side. Her eyes widened in relief when she saw Riker. "Hold on," Riker said softly, gently comforting her. "We're going to get you out of here. Just stay with us." Lythi moved swiftly, tearing a piece of cloth to make a makeshift bandage. "We need to stop the bleeding," she said, her voice calm but urgent. "Riker, help me hold her still." As they worked to stabilize her, the girl looked up at Riker with wide, trusting eyes. "Thank you," she whispered, voice trembling. You're brave. Riker felt a strange warmth despite the chaos. You're a hero, he whispered back. Stay with us. We're going to get you to safety. Once the girl was stabilized enough to be moved, they carried her out into the street, where villagers gathered, some crying, some praying. The scene was a testament to their resilience. Despite the devastation, hope persisted. Riker looked around at the battered faces, seeing flickers of strength amid despair. We're not beaten, he declared loudly, voice hoarse but unwavering. We'll rebuild. We'll fight back. Draper thinks he can break us. He's wrong. We're more than just survivors. We're fighters. Lythi stepped beside him, her gaze fierce. And with you leading the charge, Riker, I believe we can turn this nightmare into a new dawn. But we must stay vigilant. Dreer's forces won't stop until they've taken everything. We need to unite, stand strong, and prepare for what's next. As dusk settled across the battered village, the survivors began to rally, tending to the wounded, salvaging what little was left, and planning their next move. Riker, battered but unbowed, looked toward the horizon, knowing deep down that this was only the beginning. The fires of war had been ignited, and he was determined to see them burn bright enough to forge a future, one where hope could rise from the ashes of destruction. His mind kept turning over the same thought. This fight was far from over, but he was ready, more than ever, to face whatever darkness lay ahead. The dawn broke over the battered village, casting a pale, uncertain light on the ruins of what was once a thriving community. Riker stood at the edge of the makeshift encampment, his jaw clenched as he stared at the horizon, where dark clouds still loomed. The previous day's chaos had left scars on every face, but beneath the exhaustion, a steely resolve had taken root. Lythi approached quietly, her expression a mixture of concern and cautious optimism. We can't afford to wait, she said softly. Dreer will be back soon, and next time, he'll come with even more men. We have to act, or everything we fought for will be lost. Riker turned to her, eyes burning with determination. You're right, he replied. We've lost too much already. We can't let him take any more. We need to rally everyone, get them organized, ready for a real fight this time. Just then, a young boy, no older than 12, ran up breathless, clutching a battered sword nearly twice his size. I want to help, he panted, eyes wide with a mixture of fear and fierce pride. I've been practicing, really. I want to fight. Lythi looked at him, a small smile touching her lips despite the bleakness. That's brave of you, kid. But fighting's not just about swords and strength. It's about strategy, courage, and knowing when to stand your ground. The boy nodded vigorously. I can do it. I swear. I want to be part of this. I'm tired of hiding. Riker knelt, placing a firm hand on his shoulder. You're brave, and that's good. But we need everyone to be smart, too. We'll make sure everyone's prepared. No one fights alone. We're stronger together. The boy's face lit up with a determined grin. Okay, I'll help. I'll do whatever it takes. As the villagers began to gather, Riker felt a flicker of hope ignited within him. This was more than just a fight for survival. This was a fight to reclaim their home and their future. He looked around at the makeshift defenses, the battered but unbroken faces of the villagers, and realized that their resilience was their greatest weapon. Lythi caught his eye and nodded. We need to move quickly, she urged. Set up patrols, repair what we can, and prepare for Dreer's inevitable return. We won't give him the satisfaction of breaking us. Riker straightened, a new sense of purpose surging through him. Let's do it, he said firmly. No more hiding. No more waiting for the storm to pass. We're going to stand tall, shoulder to shoulder, and face whatever comes next. Suddenly, the distant sound of hooves echoed across the land. Dreer's men returning. The villagers tensed, some clutching their weapons nervously, others trying to hide their fear behind steely resolve. Riker's heart pounded in his chest, but he kept his voice steady. This is it, he declared, raising his sword. We fight not just for today, but for tomorrow. For every life Dreer threatens to destroy, we're going to stand up and say, "Not today." Lythi stepped beside him, her voice fierce and unwavering. Together, we can turn this nightmare into a new dawn. Dreer's army might be strong, but our spirit is stronger. And as long as we have hope and each other, we will prevail. The villagers looked at each other, some nodding, some shouting encouragement. The wind picked up, carrying their voices into the rising sun. Riker felt a surge of pride and determination swell within him. This was the beginning of a new chapter, one they would write together with courage, unity, and an unbreakable will. Whatever battles lay ahead, he knew they wouldn't be defeated, not as long as they fought as one. And as they prepared to meet their enemies once more, he whispered to himself, "This is our fight, and we're not going down without a fight." And that was the end of the story. Comment below if you want the next chapter, and hit that like button. Please subscribe, turn on the bell, and, as always, keep the last light burning.